Besides the technical difficulties that we had going on just now, it's live! It's live! Just forget it! It's live! We'll do it live, goddammit! How you guys been? What's going on? It's the return of the RCWR show. Lee Sanders here, covering the latest in all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. If you were with me live just now, we had a struggling 10 minutes. That's what happens when you have been on your honeymoon and vacation for 2 weeks, and then you come back. You don't think you have rust, but it turns out you are rusty as a mofo when it comes to how does this work again. But we're dealing with the technical difficulties. I promise you guys, by the next show, it's going to be nice and smooth. I promise you. It's great to be back with you guys as we are talking NWA Powerrr Fallout from episode 31 that dropped earlier tonight, just a little bit over an hour ago, for June 15th, 2021. Oh, how I missed you guys tremendously, and I'll say it again for a couple of more shows, but I'm not going to be beating it to death. I do appreciate everybody that reached out to me all throughout social media and wished me a congratulations, best wishes on the wedding that had went down pretty much a week and a half ago, just about. Loved it. It was great. It really touched my heart. It really warmed my soul. I showed what everybody was saying and all the love that was coming. I showed it all to Tams, and she was really moved. She was really taken back by it and everything. So I love it. I love it. You know, and I gotta say, when I just initially put it out there, I just put it out there just to pretty much let you, those that's been following me for so many years and everything, I just pretty much want to just let you guys know, hey, here's what's up. But just to see the amount of people that went out of their way and left messages, left comments all throughout social media, seeing from people that I haven't heard from in years, some people that pretty much were in school when they began listening to my show and everything. It was just nice. And then people I never would expect to hear from, just out the clear blue, had hit me up. So truly, I was touched. I was deeply moved. Thank you tremendously. I really loved it. I loved it. So as you guys can see, we're back. And at least those of you that's checking out the web stream version of the show, you can see we're back, but we've tweaked a few things here. So definitely let me know what you think about the new layout that we got going on and everything. I honestly felt that it was time for a bit of a refresher. I felt that it was time to kind of make things a little bit more not so busy. Less is more, honestly, in some cases. So we did a little bit of tweaking, so definitely let me know what you guys think, and given your feedback, you'll definitely help me decide, okay, this is what we're going to kind of do going forward. But when I was showing what I was working on to a few people in private messages and all that, a lot of people have felt, no, you know what, this is actually pretty good. Run with this. This is pretty solid. Showed it to the missus, and there was a couple of things that she wanted to see from previous layouts come back for the new one and everything. But it's a work in process. Give me about 2 weeks and we're definitely gonna have this nice and fine-tuned and everything. So we had a new episode of NWA Powerrr for this week. Overall, pretty solid episode. Pretty solid episode. I can't really complain too much about it. Show kicking off with Cal Davis, who is interviewing Trevor Murdoch, trying to get the man's thoughts about that matchup that he had against Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship back at the pay-per-view. What was that pay-per-view they had just then? What was that? Was that Back for the Attack? I think that was the pay-per-view that they had just did there. You guys got to forgive me because, even though I watched that NWA pay-per-view, I did not do a post-show covering Fallout for it. I just pretty much, and it was actually on my honeymoon, nonetheless. I actually had checked out the pay-per-view, and then I pretty much went back to my honeymoon / vacation and everything. But Trevor Murdoch really, more candidly right here, giving his thoughts. And if you bear with me a second, I can actually tell you, what? No. When Our Shadows Fall, that was the name of the pay-per-view. That was the name of the pay-per-view that had went down just a couple of weeks ago. So Trevor Murdoch giving his thoughts about that match against Nick Aldis at the pay-per-view event, saying a lot of people know damn well he had Nick Aldis beat, and he sends a really good psychological message to Nick Aldis. When you go to the restaurant, that waiter serving you that food, he knows you were beaten. When you go blah blah blah, he just gave these great examples and I was really feeling it. He really drove it home though when he said your wife, and we all know who your wife is. When you go home to her and you're snuggling up next to her and you're being intimate with her, in her eyes when she's looking at you, she knows that you were beaten, right? And like, I'm just going, damn, he's really going below the belt here. And I loved every single minute of it. It was a nice, good, strong promo, man. I was really feeling it. Only thing that would have made it even more icing on the cake, and I was waiting for it too when he went there with the wife. I figured he was going to go there with the wife, but I was also hoping that he was going to go there by mentioning Nick Aldis' kid. I was hoping he was going to go there and say, when you go and you pick up your son and you ask him how his day was at school, he looks you in the eyes and he's even going to tell you, Daddy, you were beat. I was ready for that, but we didn't go in that direction. But man, that just, I was waiting for it patiently. Who knows? Maybe we'll get it next week. We'll have to wait and see. But his message in this interview segment with Cal Davis was pretty much, you and me, we're not done by a long shot. We're just getting started. And we all kind of figured that this was part of, a nice little setup / ongoing build here. I know there were a lot of people that were upset. I did see all the comments that were coming in from the When Our Shadows Fall main event, and I know there were a lot of people that were quite upset at the finish. A lot of people are moaning and groaning over the fact that Nick Aldis continues to be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion and everything. I get where you guys are coming from tremendously. I do. To that, the only thing I have to say is patience, guys. Patience. Just continue to have patience. I feel that if not Nick Aldis, Pulp, D'Angelo De Niro, JTG, Jay the God, one of those three men are going to be the one that is going to take that title away from Nick Aldis. If you ask me personally, who would I like to see win it? I got to go with Trevor Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch, just everything that's been happening with him so far in the NWA particularly, it just reminds you so much of a Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes kind of vibe that's going on there. A Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair. It's got those type of elements to it, man. So I'm really continuing to find this rivalry between Murdoch and Aldis very intriguing. I'm all in on this. As I always tell you guys, the chase is better than the catch. And in this instance right here, I like this slow build up that they've been continuing to do with Aldis and Murdoch. More please. But patience. I feel where you guys are coming from with the frustrations and everything. Truly, I do. You look at the title ring and everything. I get it. As much as some of us would like to see a new NWA World Heavyweight Champion get crowned, as much as we want that instant gratification, we got to be real. Let's keep it 100 for a second. We need to constantly remind ourselves here that for a significant period of time, when this pandemic first broke out and everything, promotions like the NWA were greatly sidelined by it. And they tried to do what they could with online content, Carneyland and all that, and but it was some trying times for the NWA and everything. So you just can't help but, one, think to yourself, well, what would have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic? The trajectory of NWA, where would things have gone? Would Nick Aldis had gone through all of that respected year of 2020 with no pandemic as the NWA champion? Or would somebody else ultimately taking the title off of him? You can't help but really put that question out there. And, I don't know, in some instances you can kind of say that, well, maybe this pandemic in a creative type of way was good for this wrestling promotion because you kind of can't help but have those gears in your brain and think from those couple of standpoints. You feel me? I just feel in my heart of hearts, everything happens for a reason. Good, bad, and different. Everything happens for a particular reason. Just kind of remember that. But I'm really just, look, they just came back. We got to give them a little bit of time. I'm right there with you guys on the angry train if come December 31st of 2021, Nick Aldis is still the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Then it's kind of like, what's going on here, dudes? Seriously, what's up? But have that in the back of your mind going forward. It's like no different than everybody that's been butthurt right now over what's been going on with the recent E3. Everybody's been just, I feel the frustrations. But Adam Sessler, if you guys did not check out Adam Sessler's 8-minute video on G4 about the winners and losers of E3, I highly would encourage you to go out of your way and check it out because he hit it on the money. And I think those same rules, once you listen to everything that he has to say so brilliantly, you definitely need to take some of those elements and apply it to the professional wrestling industry as a whole as well. FYI. From there, May Valentine, the lovely May Valentine, she is with Tyrus and Austin Idol as they are reacting to the fact that some felt that they cheated. They pretty much were sore losers and everything. Again, this kind of goes back to When Our Shadows Fall, Fallout and everything. But Austin Idol, as far as he's concerned, they'll beat anybody. His client and Tyrus will beat anybody that is put before him. Rack him up, he will knock them down. All he knows is he feels he and his client Tyrus deserve a shot at the TV title. Might even be, for that matter, for the World Heavyweight title. You just never know. But that's the arguments that pretty much was coming from Tyrus and Austin Idol. Meanwhile, I don't know the guy's name because I haven't seen him on NWA programming enough. So you guys got to forgive me. And I was taking my notes too, but by the time we got done with the show, watching it and everything, and it was time for me to do my thing here, I got so caught up, I never did research the guy's name, sadly. So you guys got to forgive me for that one. I'll probably post it in the comment section. But we saw this guy that basically was representing Mr. G's, who had a message for Tyrus, which was, hey, Mr. G's would like to have 5 minutes of your time. Tyrus was very polite about it at first, saying, okay, look, after this interview is over, yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll hook you up. But Low Man was kind of insistent that, he wants to see you. He just wants 5 minutes of your time. So Tyrus ended up choking this guy out and switched the game up on him and said, you know what? Tell your boy, what's his name? Mr. G's. All right, tell your boy, I'm actually going to talk to him next week. And for now, you need to give me my space. I'm doing my interview time. He was choking the hell out of him pretty good. So I actually had love that. That was a nice little setup and everything. So interesting little developments that we got going on right there, right? Two little developments that's intertwining with one another. First matchup for NWA Powerrr, Kenzie Page in a triple threat match as she faced Genocide and Melina. Ooh, by the way, did you guys see the new wall setup that I got going on? Had added tons of more autographs and stuff on the wall. So I mean, the man cave is really coming along, guys and girls. It's really coming along. Nice to finally have a piece of Melina memorabilia hanging up on my wall and everything. Love me some Melina. I tell you what, all three of these girls did pretty damn good, especially Kenzie Page. I've seen a little bit of her off and on and everything, but I mean, this was pretty much really about Melina. Melina picking up the dub here in this matchup. Pretty good. All these girls, they actually have flowed pretty well with one another. No complaints about this match whatsoever. Not that I was looking for something negative to say. This is just, as far as I'm concerned, a continuing development here, because remember, in regards to genocide, it would seem genocide has aligned herself with Camille. Kind of interesting to see, okay, where is this exactly going between genocide and Camille? Is this a case right here where genocide in defeat truly respects Camille and finds that she has that mutual respect as a result of being beaten by her, and is pretty much, is it kind of a scenario like that? Or is this a case of, no, you know what, I want to keep my enemies closer because I definitely want to be the one eventually that's going to take that title away from Camille? Is it maybe a scenario like that? So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen on the next episode of NWA Powerrr. As I would suspect, we're probably going to be hearing genocide speak for the very first time about, hey, yeah, why did you align yourself with Camille? What exactly is going on there? So to see Melina pretty much, try to represent that post fall out there, that this match, it made a lot of sense. This was just, as far as I was concerned, continuing to further the storyline there. Absent from this episode of NWA Powerrr, no Thunder Rosa. I would like to believe that maybe next week as well, we'll probably hear from Thunder Rosa. What's next? What's going on? Where's her head at right now? Things of that nature. Speaking of Camille, Camille was backstage with May Valentine. Nothing to really take away from that, and I'll have to rely on you guys that had saw NWA Powerrr for this week. If I missed something, please definitely mention it in the comment section. As not for nothing, I did experience a little bit of technical issues, but for the most part, I didn't miss anything. This was pretty much May Valentine just giving Camille her few seconds of talk time. The main thing I was expecting to hear out of this was, hey, we saw genocide somewhat come to your rescue last week. Is there some type of partnership that's going on with you guys? What's going on right here? Instead, it was, I think the question that was asked to Camille was, hey, what's going on with Strictly Business or whatever. So there really wasn't that much to take away from this. Hell, I was even expecting for somebody to interrupt this talking segment, maybe a Thunder Rosa, get all up in Camille's face or whatever, but we didn't even get that. So I definitely was a bit taken back by what I had saw from this particular segment. Was hoping for a lot more out of this, but we really did not get that. But you know what? It's all good. It's all good. No complaints. No complaints whatsoever. Next up, Danny Deals. Danny Deals was in a talking segment with Cal Davis as he was with Saul Ronaldo, PJ Hawks. So Saul Ronaldo and them, it looks like they're one step closer to being in a position of potentially being contenders for the NWA tag titles when all of a sudden Colby Corino, the son of ECW alumni Steve Corino, crashed the scene. He had a serious problem with Saul Ronaldo and PJ Hawks being so close to this championship opportunity, wasn't really having any of that. Pretty much letting them know, I want what you have. You guys are not deserving of it. And when it came to the question of, okay, all right, we hear where you're coming from, Colby, but why do you deserve it? And for Colby, it's pretty simple. The reason why he deserves to be in a position instead of Saul and Hawks is because he is a second generation wrestler. Because of who his dad is. That's pretty much why. That's pretty much why he wants to be in this position. Yeah. Go figure. So pretty heated what was going on right here. A challenge was issued, but obviously Corgan and crew, they got to make a decision on that. So we'll probably know a little something when it comes to next week's NWA Powerrr. Can I just go back one more time, if you'll allow me, with regards to the interview with Camille that May Valentine had conducted, just to put even more clarity, because I know some of you guys, well, what exactly was covered there during that interview, even if it was so brief and it was kind of meaningless to you, Lee, what really had came about from that. In a nutshell, Camille was just showing off her NWA women's title, especially now that her picture is front and center on that title and everything. She took shots at Melina, who she felt ruined her coronation last week. And from there, the question went to Thomas Latimer's chances in the NWA National Championship tournament, and possibly having to face Chris Adonis. And Camille said, hey, look, it's kind of unfair, but Latimer, as far as she's concerned, I mean, this was kind of a no-brainer of a question. Of course, she's going to go with her boo. Makes a lot of sense. She's then asked about, who her next opponent is going to be. And she said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm looking elsewhere. So take that how you want to. Okay, so when she says she's looking elsewhere, is she looking within the NWA, or is she looking at somebody outside of the NWA? Curious minds want to know. So you got another carrot dangling over your head there going into next week's NWA Powerrr. Aaron Stevens went one-on-one against PJ Hawks. This pretty much was a result of Aaron Stevens seeing backstage. We never saw Aaron Stevens, mind you, but Aaron Stevens was backstage and he saw the interactions that PJ Hawks had with Colby Corino, and really loved the fact that PJ was standing his ground and everything, that he actually wanted to give him a one-on-one exhibition matchup and everything. So PJ Hawks jumped at the opportunity. I was really feeling the singlet that PJ Hawks was wearing, by the way, because it had a nice, because normally, when it comes to NWA Powerrr, me and a couple of buddies in our Discord, we're usually just kicking back quietly, just hanging out, talking, watching the show and everything. And we all were looking at that singlet just going, man, it's got a freaking 80s, 90s vibe to it going on. And I just couldn't help but look at that bad boy. And I'm just thinking 90s. I'm thinking Nickelodeon. What else was floating in my mind when I saw that? Oh, yeah, New Kids on the Block, You Got the Right Stuff. I mean, you got to look at the singlet for yourself, because as soon as you see it, I promise you all of those things just go on in your mind and everything. This match, although it was starting to kind of get nice and okay, this looks like it's pretty, Stevens was doing a pretty good job in putting the young kid over. I mean, it wasn't in such a way where it's, oh, come on, this is so laughable. It wasn't anything of that nature. Aaron Stevens wasn't embarrassing the kid whatsoever. I mean, he made sure that the kid looked pretty good, holding his own. But sadly, we saw Beastar 666 and Mecha Wolf. They crashed the scene, attacked both guys. Match was pretty much thrown out. It was a no contest. And post-match, and I'm not really sure what had happened here, but Luke Hawks, he did come out to try to come to the aid of his son. He got a beat down as well, and afterwards, somehow, I know I'm not really supposed to pay too much attention to this, but somehow, Luke Hawks, Aaron Stevens, and PJ Hawks all just magically disappeared as Besta and Mecha Wolf went over to Cal Davis, cut a little promo. They basically said they're not in NWA to make friends. They are coming for everybody, especially anyone that has gold. And right now they've got their eyes set particularly on Aaron Stevens and Kratos and those NWA tag titles. So nice little development that we got going on there. May Valentine is with the mysterious Starman, as I am dubbing him, and she points out something that most people probably don't even think about, and I thought it was kind of cool how she went about it. She said, the only person that knows your identity is Billy Corgan, because he pretty much signed you to NWA. So hopefully in due time we'll know who you are under that mask. But another question, when are you gonna wrestle? And before he could even answer that, Slice Boogie with Marche Rocket, they came out, took some verbal shots at Mr. Starman. And they pretty much rolled out after that. Valentine apologizing to the Starman, and that pretty much was the end of that one. Davis is once again in a backstage interview where he's talking with Pharaoh, Odinson, Chris Adonis, and Tom Latimer. They're pretty much right there on the interview. Said Davis spoke about the NWA national title qualifier with Pharaoh facing Adonis and Latimer in a three-way. That's going to be happening, I believe, on next week's Powerrr. Davis said it seemed unfair because it was essentially a handicap match, and that's a very good point of observation. Adonis and Latimer, they both took turns talking and everything. Pharaoh, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't like to talk. He just wants to punch people in the face. Pharaoh follows it up saying that the NWA let Strictly Business run rampant. They pretty much run roughshod all over the place, but he will ultimately be the one that's going to win the NWA National Championship. And when that happens, Strictly Business won't have power anymore. Latimer points out that Adonis never lost the title and somehow gave the impression that the belt would somehow stay with Strictly Business if Adonis were to pin him, Thomas Latimer. So Pharaoh doesn't like what he's hearing, and he pretty much lets them have it and talks about how he doesn't have respect from either one of those guys. But when it's all said and done, he's going to do his very best to beat the respect out of them because he knows they don't think highly of him. They think very little of him and everything. So we pretty much end things right there. Main event match of this evening. So 3 matches for NWA Powerrr this week. Main event match of the evening. Fred Rozier, JTG, and El Rudo in a triple threat qualifying match that will determine the new NWA national champion. So again, this was a qualifier. You win, you advance into that qualifying matchup. So pretty good. This was actually pretty good. JTG coming out on top. I love the fact that JTG is off to a solid start in the NWA. I mean, he fits so perfectly in the NWA. And like I was saying in the chat earlier, I said, it's just mind-blowing that JTG did not get picked up by WWE, AEW, or Impact trying to get a whiff of him. It's just amazing that none of these guys, and look, maybe they did, but nothing really materialized or what have you. But you would just think that at least there would be more of an aggressive attempt to try to acquire his services and everything. But you know what? Hey, their loss ends up being the wrestling fans' gain overall, especially the big supporters of JTG, such as I. Definitely gotta make sure I show that love. Been checking out his shit for years now, years upon years. I mean, he fits so perfectly in the NWA. He really, really does. He fits them perfectly. It's a solid main event match. Remember, JTG had beat Rozier at the When Our Shadows Fall pay-per-view, so it was actually nice to kind of see Fred Rozier and JTG kind of follow up a little bit on what they did at that pay-per-view, spotlighted here in this main event and everything. I would have been more inclined to see a Rozier push, and I think that would have came off a bit more meaningful for fans of the NWA because, he's been at it a little bit longer. He's been doing the whole grind and everything. But you know what? I'm okay with the JTG route. Quite honestly, I am totally okay with that. But pretty solid episode that we had as JTG. As far as future bona fide stars go, I mean, you can definitely, with everything you're seeing of him in the NWA so far, you can definitely see this guy be a future Impact player. You could definitely see him maybe take on Nick Aldis for the NWA championship and everything. So, but overall, pretty well-rounded, solid episode of NWA Powerrr. I definitely got to give for this week. Definitely thumbs up for me as far as I'm concerned. Let me know what you guys had thought about NWA Powerrr. And by the way, as far as programming notes go, so this Wednesday, I'm going to be live with you guys. Wednesday, let's say 9 p.m. Eastern. I'll be live with you guys. We'll talk tonight's NXT Fallout. We'll also talk about this past week's AEW Dynamite. What else? We'll also talk about WWE Raw and everything. I'll talk a lot more about the wedding, show you guys some photos. We'll also talk about the honeymoon vacation. It's a nice loaded up episode that we'll do for you guys this Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern special time. So make sure you tune in for that. That's going to be good. And we might do something on Friday as well, because we do have a pay-per-view that's going to be dropping this weekend. So we'll dive into a lot more of all of that stuff on Wednesday's show. But in the meantime, I want you guys to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads. Make sure you're getting at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at the RCWR show. And particularly for those of you that checked out the web stream version of this very episode, let me know what you think about the new template layout and everything. Anything you want me to tweak, something you maybe want me to add. Definitely would appreciate that. Shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. As always, you guys know exactly who you are. And before I roll out, please, if you guys enjoyed yourselves, make sure you hit that like. Feel free to subscribe. You don't have to, but at least click on that like, because that pretty much lets the YouTube algorithm team know, hey, I enjoyed this content. It's pretty solid. Helps them push it out to more people to be able to discover it with ease. All right. And that is going to do it. So NXT is underway right now. You can get at me on Twitter at the RCWR show. I'll be sharing my thoughts about tonight's NXT event, and it should be good. Hearing a lot of stuff about Samoa Joe should be good. We'll find out what's going on. Meantime, wishing all y'all to be safe and most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Adios.